Hi, Essence here, and I am coming on here on day 7 of the abundance journey. Okay, the 40-day abundance journey, which is what I call it, but in the book, I think it's the prosperity plan. Um, so if you have not watched my first video and you're not familiar with the concept of the prosperity plan, I suggest that you go back and watch that. I recorded 2 videos. There's a longer one that's more in depth, and then like a quick starter guide. Okay, so I wanted to come on here today to read something from the book because I remember it being very confusing for me in the beginning a couple of years ago. And then this is also the part that I really lose touch with when I'm not studying this book. So I wanted to read the page from the book and then take you through a visualization to connect with that. And then I want to take you through this abundance checklist so you can troubleshoot any abundance block. So if you're still feeling blocked in some way, which is totally normal at this point, if you're a week in this journey, like if you started with me last week. So it's totally normal if this is not clicking, if it feels boring and hard to understand. Just stick with it because your consciousness will begin to expand the more you just kind of sit with this. Don't give up. It is easy to give up because it's kind of like old-timey language almost. I don't know why he wrote it in this way because I think this book was probably written in the 80s or 90s. But anyway, just stick with it. 1996. It was written in 87 and revised in 96. Either way, but so it can be like hard to really grasp. But if you just stop trying to figure it out and just be willing to sit with it, it will start to work and move within you because like your soul knows the stuff. So that truth will start to come up the more you sit with it and stop trying to figure it out with your mind. But I am also going to be helping you along with that by doing videos like this. Okay. So again, I'm going to read. Then I'm going to give you a couple examples. Then I'm going to take you through a quick visualization. And then I'm going to have the prosperity checklist up. And you're just going to pause, answer the questions, and then press play to go to the next page. I was going to read them out loud, but I want to give people time to sit with each question to answer it genuinely and not feel rushed to keep up with me reading it. All right, so let's dive in. So I'm actually going to share my screen. One second here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so hopefully you are seeing the correct screen. I think you are. Okay, so I'm going to read. Your God self thinks only thoughts of abundance and never lack or limitation. These thoughts are in the form of pure energy within the mind of your higher self. This thought energy constitutes a momentous force, a power, a mighty thrust that presses out and radiates through your consciousness. This thought energy or mind power is pregnant with the thinkingness of unlimited supply, boundless prosperity, and overflowing abundance. As this copious substance moves through your consciousness, it's either distributed as is or altered according to the vibration of your energy field. It lets itself be impressed with the shape of your consciousness and then goes forth into the physical world to become or appear as forms and experiences related to your concept of abundance. There's a whole lot there, but I want to kind of keep this concise. So this is how I want you to think of it. So this is the way I think of it. It's like this universal substance that we can't see. I imagine it like if you rub your hands like this, right? And then you pull them apart and you do like this, and you can sense that energy, that force that is within your hands, that you cannot see is that universal substance. This universal substance, which I kind of like to think about like if you were up with the clouds and you just kind of took, you might not be able to see it, but like you can feel your hands going through it. That universal substance is flowing in, within, and around every single thing. That is God's substance. It is flowing through this. It is in this book. It is flowing through me because it is everywhere in the universe. So nothing can be made without that source. So this could be like the atoms and the molecules and all of this God particles. Okay. We are also that. But anywho, so this stuff is like, I like to think of it like, although it's not hard and we can't touch it, but it's like clay, and how clay can be molded into anything. Same thing with this formless energy. It can form itself into anything and then appear in the outer world. So for instance, the example I have here is this photography job. So this was like years ago when I was first learning about like manifestation, and I was in between jobs, and I was just kind of thinking like what would be cool. And I was like, oh, a photographer, be a, like take pictures. Never took a photography class or anything like that, but I just started just like visualizing and seeing me behind the camera. And all of a sudden, one day, just in my email, this ad for photographer for Sears just pops up. And I'm like, holy smoke, this stuff really works. And it was just for me just sitting and visualizing and seeing that. And then this job pops through. I didn't end up taking it because I got another job, but that was just this cool example. And I want to say it ended up being like 3 jobs, because it was like within 3 months I'd already started working somewhere, but it was still like 2 other jobs had came through in my email, like job ads. So that's one example. Another example, I have so many, but these are when I was doing this is just what came to mind. There was another time, I don't remember if I was doing the abundance book or just playing with manifestation. I just kept visualizing somebody handing me money, a stranger handing me money. And I would just see myself smiling like, oh, because the stranger just gave me some money. And I was at this meetup group. It was about developing your intuition. And at the end of this meetup group, this guy comes up to me and he was like, I just feel like I'm supposed to give you some money. And I was like, okay. And he handed me $20. So, but what we normally do is we impress upon this substance with our visualization what we don't want to happen. We impress upon it our fears, our scarcity, our worries, and that's why we see that coming into our reality versus the things we want. When I wanted my relationship, I completely would just like visualize and lose myself in that visualization. And within 4 months, boop, I was in a relationship. Still to this day, 7 years. So this is how you connecting to the source within and impressing, meaning thinking, visualizing what it is that you want and how it shows up versus just out here searching, looking for money, like in this hustle, or if it's love, whatever that thing is you're desiring. It's like you come here to your God self and impress upon it what you desire. Okay, so let's continue. This is why I really wanted to do this, because this is where I would get tripped up. Because it talks about the consciousness of God being your supply, and I really didn't get that. So look at the code words. My consciousness of God as my supply is my supply. Let's break down the statement first. My consciousness of God, this means your awareness, understanding, and knowledge of the presence within you. That God presence, Christ, Spirit, divine mind, or whatever term for the higher power is most comfortable for you. When you are aware of something, you draw that something into your awareness, which is your consciousness. Awareness leads to understanding, and understanding leads to knowledge. When you turn your mind within and contemplate the present, when you focus on that spirit within, and when you recognize and become aware of the infinite mind right where you are, a most dramatic thing happens. At that moment of awareness, you open your consciousness to receive the presence of God. Because the energy, substance, intelligence, power, love, and will of that presence follow the beam of your awareness. Your entire energy field is filled with the very spirit of God. At this, let's go back. Okay. So at this point, here's what I want to say. So we're going to do a visualization in just a second, and I think we'll do the visualization before the next part. So my consciousness of God as my supply is my supply. So the first thing, my consciousness, whenever I see this in these statements, I automatically change it to my awareness. So it's like when I'm conscious, no, when I'm aware. Because I grasp awareness more. So awareness is something that I'm aware of, just like I'm aware of this pen. I'm aware of my mouth being right here. So it's like my awareness of God as my supply is my supply. What that means is, and then we're going to do this as a visualization, but in that first video where I talked about that light, like we are each individualizations of God, and think about it being the sun, and we each are a ray of that sun. We are that God ray, basically. So, but think about that light of the ray flowing within. And if you just imagine that ray of light, if you were to think of it like a beam coming from the heavens, let's just say, moving down through your crown chakra, this beam going right through the middle of you, and picture it going down between your legs and into the earth, anchoring you. So you have this beam of light connecting you to the heavens above through the earth below. And imagine that this beam of light, any color you would like it to be, that is the God presence running through you. That presence of God, you being aware, let's just make it up that it's this yellow beam of light. You being aware that this yellow beam of light is your source, and it is also your supply. So when I'm aware that this yellow light, this beam of God light, is my source and supply, then it supplies me with all my goods. Coming back into this book reminded me that I was looking at like God out there being my source and supply, when it is like my God, my beam of light is my source and my supply. Your God beam of light is your source and your supply. And we lean on that. We connect in with that. We realize this truth. And then we impress upon it what we want. So, for instance, if it is, here's a great example, like if part of my business, I want to be on people's podcasts. So I can't remember if I gave this example last week, but anyway, I wasn't out searching and saying like, hey, you guys, anybody looking for people to be on guests on their podcast? Not to say that I won't do it, because it's actually something I might do. But what I did was I was just sitting and visualizing being on a podcast and seeing myself talking in front of my mic and um, posting on social media. I'm going to be on this podcast. I just was visualizing that and journaling about that. And wouldn't you know it, 2 podcast interviews came out of the blue, and no lie, Friday, just today's Sunday at this time, Friday I was doing some website maintenance in the back, of my website, and I saw this notification and like an email, which I usually get them to my Gmail, but for whatever reason, this didn't come through. And it was a podcast interview request from at the beginning, so almost like 2 months ago, and I didn't even see it. So this is just showing you that this is what you do. Like, you create it from the inside and not go out and like hustle searching, unless you have that like intuitive inspiration to maybe go out and do the thing or to look or to search. Okay. So that's the first part, is to really grasp that beam of light, that God source flowing through you is your supply. And in all honesty, I see mine as like the tree of life. So when I'm visualizing, it's like I see this big, beautiful tree, and it has like dollar bills as leaves. And I just feel its aliveness. And I'm like, this is my source. This is the tree of life. This is the God inside of me. Like, that's how I connect. So when I'm doing this and I'm doing my 15 minutes meditation, I'm connecting with that tree. I am feeling that tree growing within me, and those dollar bills just growing off the leaves and falling all around the base of the tree. And now, just like when I'm thinking about things that I want to have and create, it's like I go and I just like connect to the tree of life and feel that God presence within me. And then I start to do my visualization. So let's do this together really quick. So if you would close your eyes for me. Allow yourself to get really comfortable in your seat. Let's take a deep breath in together and exhale. Another breath in and exhale. One more time. Breathe in and exhale. Find a breathing pattern that feels comfortable for you, and just allow yourself to relax. Feel yourself getting comfortable behind your eyelids, just sitting in the darkness. And now just allowing your eyes to roll up and focus right at your third eye, right in the middle of your forehead. And allow yourself to feel that pressure. And now I want you just to imagine it carries you out into nature. And so just see yourself somewhere out in nature. It could be in a forest or a park, even be in your backyard. See yourself outside. And now allow your eyes to relax. And as you're outside, I want you to look around and see where the sun is. And then I want you to go place yourself directly under the sun. And just see yourself centering right in a ray of sunlight. And just imagine that ray of sunlight shining on you. There's another ray of sunlight shining down on me. There's another ray of sunlight shining down on your buddy. And to see all these rays of sunlight just shining down on the people that you know. And then now I want you to come back to your ray of sunlight. And within this ray of light, there is a color, there is a frequency right in there for you. So this can be any of the colors of the rainbow or a mixture of colors, but within the sun ray, you see another color flowing down. And I want you to imagine that light begins to move down through your crown chakra. And it's like a pillar of light, a column of light, and it begins to move right down through the top of your crown chakra, feeling that pressure there. Seeing this light coming down past your third eye, coming down through your throat chakra, moving down through your heart chakra, moving down through your solar plexus, right at your diaphragm, moving down through your navel chakra, moving down through your root chakra, right through your hips and pelvic area, and going straight down into the floor, down through the floor, and anchoring itself into the earth. And I want you to allow yourself to just sit up and sit very straight, just aligning with this column of light. And I want you just to imagine that column of light begins to expand in front of you and expand behind you. And it just begins to bubble itself around you. And you are cocooned in this light. And I want you to allow yourself to feel safe and comfortable here. But coming right back to the focus of that column, right in the center of the light, right at your heart. And I want you to think of a memory, something that makes you laugh or smile. It could be something as a kid, or that a kid did, or a pet, or a vacation memory, something that makes you smile. And bring that smile to your face. And now just imagine turning up that memory or that energy up to a 10. Just feeling so overjoyed by that memory, by that moment in time. And just let it radiate out. And just feel this goodness. And just allow this to represent the Spirit of God flowing within and around you. Recognizing that this light that is flowing within you and within you and around you, this is the source of your good. It can also be the source of the not so good if you bring unhappy visions to it. But if you come here and tune in and connect to this God source, the source of abundance, the source of joy, and then start to impress your desires upon this energy, this is how you create from abundance. Knowing that this is your supply, not the business, not the person, not the company. This source of goodness, this Spirit, this God, This vibration flowing through you is your source and your supply. If you trust it, it will provide for you. It will bring things into your life and into your existence. Bringing a smile to your face. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay. So you can come back and do that meditation whenever you need to just connect, or you can do some version of that on your own. But this is what it means, that you have to be aware of this and understand that that is the source of your good. That is the source of your abundance. So the next part at this stage of your spiritual maturity, Spirit seems to ask you a question. What would you have me be? And that's what you must identify the presence as, that which you desire in the outer world. Let's say it's money. Money is a symbol of the divine idea of supply. Now let's connect the first two parts of the statement. My consciousness of God as my supply. Your consciousness of God as your supply fills your consciousness with God as your supply. Therefore, your consciousness becomes your supply. So again, that goes back to, if you are, whatever it is you are wanting, you bring it here. So let's just say it's money. You bring it here, you see yourself with it, and you know, this is how I create it. This is my source. I don't have to go run out and chase and do unless I'm guided to do. The action I'm guided to. But the first thing is I come here because this is my source. This is my supply. Okay. We can now complete the statement, my consciousness of God as my supply is my supply. So say it again, my awareness of God as my supply is my supply. So that awareness is what is going to supply you. That awareness meaning is what is going to create that external experience. If it's money, being on a podcast, whatever it is, it's understanding that that source within is going to provide that for you. So can you understand what happens when you embody the truth and meaning of that statement? Your consciousness becomes cause to the outer world, and based on cosmic law, as within, so without. So whatever you have going on in here is what will be out there. A lot of times we have fear and scarcity going on in here. That is why we see that out there, that we have the not enough going on in here. So then we experience that out there. Versus if you turn it around and experience abundance within, and knowing that you can never go without, because the source of abundance is always flowing through you and you can always have what you desire. Now, there may be a time delay because we don't manifest in an instant, but your job is to still hold that faith that is coming, or that you will be guided. So become conscious of the presence within as the fulfillment of any desire you have. And your consciousness will outpicture itself as that fulfillment easily, quickly, and in peace. Okay? So you bring it here. At some point in time, when it says easily and quickly, it will picture itself out here. Okay? Meaning you will have it, it will show up in your external reality. All right, the last piece. I would love to know what you thought about this so far, where you may still be confused. If you are confused, what this may say or bring up to you, because this is how I interpret this. You may interpret it different, and I would love to hear your interpretation. All right, so troubleshooting your abundance block. So let's say you're in this place where it's like, this isn't working, I don't know what's going wrong. There's this checklist in here that asks you different questions so you can kind of see where you are off. The end of the book just basically says something like, the more you answered yes, the richer in abundance you are. But not all the questions are really, doesn't ring true to that assessment. So I've created my own assessment. So you're going to number your paper 1 through 27. I basically have 10 questions from the book on here, on this page, 10 on the next page, and then 7 on the last page. So you're going to number 1 through 27. Then you are going to answer yes, no, or maybe if you're like in the middle of the question, like you're transition. So then you can put maybe. But then I want you, whatever the answer is, to rate it 1 through 10. So 10 is like absolutely no, I'm not there yet. And then 1 is like 100%. Yes, I'm there. I get it. That is me. Because when you do that, then you are going to be able to monitor your progress. Okay. And another thing is, let's say you have a lot on here where you can still see like you're more so in a scarcity mindset. Just choose a couple to start working with, to start changing your energy around, versus if you have 12, you need to, you're seeing it still being in scarcity. Don't try to do all 12. Pick out the 2 or 3 that will have the biggest impact, because sometimes it could be like a domino effect. You start working on one of these areas and then it shifts in another. So for example, and then I put, pay close attention to the ors. So for instance, is my primary interest in realizing the presence of God, or is it in meeting a financial problem? Okay, so that is basically saying, is my primary interest on connecting to that source within and really grounding into an understanding that that is the source, or are you just trying to do this to be able to pay pay your credit card off, right? And that's really where the focus is. So you answer that question, and let's say, is my primary interest in realizing the presence of God? Let's say it's like, no, crap, I have been focusing on that credit card. So where are you on the scale? So I would be, let's just say no, but I'm not like a 10 because I'm doing this program, so I kind of get it. So let's just say I'm a 7. Now you would know that you have, whenever your mind goes to focusing on the credit card, you bring it back to just what you want to picture is having the money or that credit card being a 0 or however much money you want to pay on that thing. That's what you visualize, like the end result of what you want. Okay, another one on the second side, the third one down. Am I conscious of the inner presence as my abundance? So let's say after that meditation, so maybe before last week, it might have been a 10, but even right now in this moment after that meditation, you might be a maybe, like you're getting there. You're like, it's starting to sink in. So you might be like a 5 or a 6. And this may be something you have to work on to keep sitting with, to really ground and understand that that inner presence, that source within is your abundance. Okay. If you have any questions about any of these, feel free to reach out to me. So I would definitely suggest the ones you know you need to work on, star them or highlight them as you're going through this. And then once you're completely done, then you go back and choose the ones you really feel like you need to focus on the most. Okay. So let's go ahead, and I want you to just pause the video and you answer the first set of 10. Pause now. Okay. I'm going to the second page. If you have not done the first, pause it here. Okay, so as you're going through this next set, go ahead and pause the video and do this next set of 10. Okay, this last page of 7, if you have not completed that last page, pause now and then go through and complete this last page. Okay, so press pause. All right, so at this moment in time, I am trusting that you have completed the entire checklist. You have found out your blocks, and feel free, if you're on my email list, to message me if you have any questions, you feel stuck on anything, and you'd like my insight. You can also leave a message in the comments if you're not. But this is what I want you to work on over the next week as you are doing your you're gonna do your meditations every day. But I want you to also be aware of these whatever ones you choose and be working on those throughout the week so you can really move from like scarcity and not being connected with the source of abundance to being connected with that source of abundance and really understanding that that is your source and your supply. All right, it has been a pleasure sharing this with you, and I will be back in the next 5 to 7 days to share something else with you. If you want to know something or understand something deeper and want me to make a video about it, I'm completely open. Please share with me. I want to really help you and serve you through this process. All right, so I will talk to you later. Bye.